they need someone who wants to be there and stick around.
Yeah.
They deserve a manager who wants to be part of their identity rather than who will simply have them on their CV.
Well, let's talk about Spurs versus Nottingham Forest on Saturday. Spurs, they're looking to bounce back from their very, very drab Champions League disappointment, losing 1-0 in aggregate, of course, to AC Milan. Richarlison isn't happy. Speaking after the game against Milan, of course, on Wednesday, he said, this season has been shit. I suppose, though, when the manager, Antonio Conte, pretty much says after the game, I don't care if they sack me.
Yeah.
Then why not just... It's open season.
It's only March. You've got a lot of matches to go.
No, but he doesn't want to be there.
It's a lovely sweet spot to have in your employment, isn't it? I couldn't give a shit.
It's really translating onto the pitch as well, because they look like a team without clear leadership. There's not much identity there.
It must
Spurs
be infuriating.
pride themselves on a very strong identity and a very particular way of playing and a way of fighting for things and entertaining that is nothing like this.
And to put it more succinctly, you would say that identity is called Spursy, wouldn't you?
Not quite.
Okay.
But I think it's a strange one, isn't it? Because this situation, I guess it's a little bit like the Mourinho situation, because you bring in a manager who you hope can do something fairly spectacular in the short term. But to do that, as we've mentioned many times, you have to sort of back them quite heavily. It feels like what they need is a rebuilding project. And you wonder if either Pochettino, because of, you can't go home again, or Thomas Tuchel, who seems to be their other big target, are the sort of managers to do that. It's a fascinating crossroads they're about to find themselves at.
There's an interesting thing, I think, when you look at Spurs, and there are a lot of better examples of this at the upper echelons of the game, but watching them in the Champions League against Milan and then talk immediately going to wanting to consolidate the position in the top four just highlights how transactional football is, but specifically in that part of North London.
Yes.
Because you've not even tried to get into the quarterfinal of a competition you're trying to get into next year.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Yeah.
It's just, it's infuriating, and especially if you're a Spurs fan, it's got to be so annoying because it's literally right there in front of you.
Yeah.
You're kind of worrying about the next meal.
A winnable tie.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
In a fairly open Champions League, I would say. I don't think Spurs were ever really realistically going to win it, but you never know. Put yourself out there.
Yeah.
You get yourself into the quarterfinal and perform. But Conte said before the game, didn't he? I'd like to win the Champions League, but then there is the reality. Honestly, the stuff that he came out with this week.
Tuchel in, Bombardier.
The stuff he came out with pre and post game. It's very seldom do you think, I don't think I've seen that in football. Yeah. But I don't think I have, quite frankly. Not in this country.
Come on.
What?
Roy Hodgson with England.
Keegan with England.
I do think a big part of it is the personal circumstances that Conte has been going through this season. He's lost 2 or 3 friends, I believe. He has had his gallbladder situation. His family still live in Italy. He's living out of a hotel. Clearly, there are circumstances beyond football that are kind of hampering his ability to be at his best.
What's good for the Jose is bad for the gander.
I take those points, Jim. But
I know that
but I was very surprised at what he said.
Yeah,
and
I think it's symptomatic of this malaise, essentially.
It is, but then I sort of think he can walk away. I'd be surprised if the club were really sort of digging it. Maybe they are.
I'd be amazed if he was there next season.
He won't be there next season. No, he won't. He'll be done. But when he says it's specifically the quotes. I'm saying he's not like, I didn't think we'd win the Tar. He was a bit down. He said, when asked about his future, I'm here until the summer. But What did he say? Something words to the effect of, they might sack me before then or something.
But did you not think that with this tie hanging in the balance a little bit, do you not think they could sort of do something now? Wouldn't this be the best time to have a new manager bounce?
Well, yeah, indeed. I know they won't want to get someone in short term, perhaps, or at the end of the season. But it would give them a lift. Like if you're desperort to keep 4th spot, which is understandable,
it's just going to get embarrassing.
Yeah, totally. This is not going to improve. No. There's no way. Conte is done for a lot of those reasons you just stated there, Jim. And I understand that. Okay, fine. If he doesn't want to be there, great. Then someone do something. Someone make a bloody decision.
Would they be trying to avoid paying him off? Daniel Levy is very shrewd and really really doesn't like spending money he doesn't have to.
Yeah,
they might line someone up so it's a smooth transition.
Yeah, we don't know the details of the contract, so obviously these are the conversations. But you can't just let this just kind of drift until the end of the season and actually we finished 5th or 6th.
Yeah, so Jack Pitt-Brooke, who's the Spurs correspondent for The Athletic, he was talking about any kind of compensation would be between 4 million and 5 million, which isn't that much if you compare it to what Spurs have paid people off in the past.
Indeed.
And then someone, he had a good thread about it yesterday, I think it was, and a Spurs fan replied and posited the idea that maybe they're not being as ruthless now because of basically what Jim mentioned earlier about the personal situation there at the moment. Most recently the health issue. I don't know, but that might be something that's playing a part here. But I suppose if you're a Spurs fan, it doesn't change anything because it kind of embodies the fact that you're just existing.
It's not good for anybody that he's still managing the club, and that's the point. So surely there's a conversation there.
But the Spurs fans are going absolutely crazy about stuff. The conspiracy theories about Son getting played because of the support he gets out east and stuff, and it's just like you'd think Conte wouldn't be fucking blowing that little situation wide open for crying out loud.
Yeah, the Richarlison situation is unusual, though, isn't it? You would think, they spent a lot of money on him. He's clearly a good player, had a really good World Cup. Obviously, we don't know what happens behind the scenes, but he says he was told that if he passed the fitness test, he'd start the game and then didn't. And he's starting to get a bit frustrated by that.
But if you're Richarlison, you're seeing Son stink up the pitch pretty much every time he gets on it. He must train incredibly because he shouldn't be on that pitch at the moment. He's been awful.
Well, yeah. So the situation with Spurs, everyone's aware of. And then, so what do they do? There's obviously a lot of talk about Pochettino. I think Luke was saying recently that they've just got to do it to get it out of their systems.
It almost feels that way, isn't it?
Indeed. Well, Jamie Carragher tweeted today, Antonio Conte's time's up, but replacing him with Pochettino is not right for all concerned. Never go back. I fear this will be more Keegan than Jose.
Don't have a go at Keegan.
Don't have a go. And it wasn't Keegan's fault, was it?
No, it wasn't.
Yeah, we should be.
Derek Lambias and all them.
And all that, and the
Cockney Mafia.
Cockney Mafia.
Yeah. Out. Shocking behaviour. Would you think Tuchel? I think Tuchel would be a great appointment.
Yeah. I mean, it depends if they back him, though, doesn't it? Because they might just repeat the same mistake.
But he would immediately get more of a tune out of these players.
Yeah, but the thing about Tuchel and the thing about hiring another name manager is you realise, actually, they all have a bit of a pact in terms of they build on the excuses of the other person.
Yeah. If
you look at all the excuses that that Mourinho gave, that Conte is giving now, it's kind of like, well, remember when they were bad like a few years ago? That there's still the same problems now. I still want to spend money, and I feel like you just need someone who's just going to go in there and look at it as a privilege to manage Spurs.
I'll tell you who they're going to pinch Marco Silva in the summer. They are.
Well, but what they need,
that's just what's going to happen, and it's going to annoy me, Jim.
Yeah, that would be annoying, wouldn't it? But I think they need someone who wants to be there and stick around.
Yeah.
They deserve a manager who wants to be part of their identity rather than who will simply have them on their CV. It needs to be about Spurs, not about the manager. And that's obviously been the case here with Conte. It's been more about him than them. That was the case with Mourinho. Obviously didn't quite work out with Nuno Espirito Santo.
I think Mourinho wanted to be there.
That's why Pochettino worked. It was someone who bought into their identity. Okay. And if not Pochettino himself, they need someone else who's going to do that.
Yeah,
they missed. I think personally they missed the boat on not getting Potter originally. I think that would have solved so many issues for Potter and Spurs as well. Because at Spurs you get a bit more time.
Yeah, he would have been more suited to that club rather than
exactly.
Chelsea. Yeah. Danny Rose isn't happy. He said about Spurs, you say they have the best stadium. Well, you can have the best house, but if the furniture's not the best inside, then it's irrelevant.
I mean, it's not relevant, is it?
Really falls apart like a poorly constructed IKEA flat pack, doesn't it? That concept. If the furniture's not the best, don't pull any punches, Danny.
Yeah.
It's irrelevant.
This is a lovely palace, but that couch ruins everything.
His little iPhone note thing on the Addison Lee into work. I'm going to drop this one. It's going to be bloody great.
He also was saying, I've got to be careful what I say because sometimes I like to go to the training ground and I want to make sure I'm still welcome. So, I don't know about that now.
Richarlison just call them shit. I think you'd be all right.
Should be fine. Should be absolutely fine.
To be fair, the manager's begging to be sacked.
Are you going to win the Champions League? No, of course not. Come right in.